All right, we're live on YouTube. This is Danielle Morrill. I'm the Senior Director of Inbound Marketing, and this is our group conversation. Welcome, everybody. Just as a reminder, there is an agenda doc where you can add your questions. If for some reason they don't work, just post them in the chat and we'll help you out. So we don't have any questions currently. Well, oh yes, we do. Yuritsi, you want to get us going? Verbalize your first question?
I actually have two questions. So the first one is about slide 19, which talks about some of the key takeaways and how we iterate. And in the iteration section, it says that we need to more accurately describe what the differences are between Community Edition and Enterprise Edition. And I didn't totally see the connection to the top pages and how you arrived at that key takeaway and next step. So was hoping you could elaborate.
Well, I'll add one piece and then I think maybe Becky will have something to add here too, which is when we call something enterprise, sometimes it can confuse people because it can make them feel like the intent is for them to work at a very large company. But actually there are definitely customers of ours who aren't at big companies who need those features. So I think sometimes that nomenclature just causes them to feel like, oh, I shouldn't click this because I don't think of myself as enterprise. So I think we maybe are reducing how many people are passing on to that next step, clicking through to that call to action or that page. Becky, I don't know if you have more information that you want to share about specific metrics there, kind of how you arrived at that conclusion.
Sure. This is just I should have called these key assumptions based on the data that we have. One of the key assumptions here is that we want to more accurately describe that, because if you look at the volume from install to other types of pages, free trial, should I do CE or EE, they're relatively even. And so we can assume that maybe people don't necessarily know what they need on that page. And again, since we want to make sure that we get people what they need within 1 to 2 pages, we would want to explain that more clearly there.
Okay, and thank you for that. I was wondering which page you were talking about. I didn't see the clear line between a single page.
Sorry, so this was specifically talking about that install, about the install page. So we looked at like the top 3 pages from the homepage, the next page they went to, and then the pages that were referred from there.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you. So it looks like I have the next question as well, which is about GitLab strategy. One of the core principles that we have at GitLab is creating a vibrant community of contributors. And in our strategy page, it has so many words around contribute and everybody can contribute, et cetera, as well as we list community contributions as one of our dual flywheels for how we generate revenue and just how we succeed as a company. And yet I don't see that reflected in any of our top pages. I don't see a strategy moving towards helping to funnel people towards being contributors, et cetera. So I wanted to know if the inbound marketing team has any plans around helping to boost the contributor story as well, given that it's so integral to our strategy.
Thank you for that. What a great observation. So first I'll share kind of what I think is the reason why you're not seeing it in terms of top traffic. And I think it's because we're talking about the new journey. So you maybe just discovered GitLab, but at the very least, you've just become a user. I think I have an assumption, and I'd love to know if this is true, that you don't necessarily become a contributor until you've already maybe kind of gotten into GitLab and used it a bit with your team. But I think that could be a carrot we could dangle, right? So I agree with you. Like, it's not to say that we shouldn't do it. I just think right now we're pretty focused on just like, how do we get you in the door? And we don't really use that as one of the benefits to coming in the door. So I think that's what you're nodding. I think that's what you're kind of saying is like, hey, that would actually be a really compelling reason to get a trial. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it could be, definitely, because if you're interested in contributing, you might need to sign up. I think that also it distinguishes us, like the more messaging there is around the contributor pipeline, it distinguishes us as an open DevOps platform, which is a really key distinguishing factor from our competitors. So I just wonder if there are opportunities that we can take to make that a larger part of our messaging just throughout the newcomer journey.
Yeah, I love that. It would be really interesting to see if an A/B test of that offering could change some of the conversion rates that we're seeing. I think one thing we struggle with, and I think this is important to share in transparency, is there's things that we want the world to care about, and there's things we want to say, and we have all this messaging and all this strategy, and then there's what actually really resonates with the customer and gets them in the door. And I think we're trying to find a way to balance those two things. And it's very possible that in the sake of hitting our numbers, we've maybe swung a little too far on the what works without necessarily also having the vision strategy in there. So I think that you are pointing out something really important that we can take back and work with. So thank you for that.
Awesome, thank you.
Sid, I think you had a comment. Oh, I see Brian too. Brian, why don't you go first and then Sid?
Sure. I was just going to mention that we have actually added a wider community contribution highlights section to the 13.9 release post. Not only the quality, but also just the quantity of those wider community MRs being merged in per month has increased significantly over time. So over the past couple of years, it's gone from 100 to 200, and now we're averaging about 300 wider community MRs merged every month. So we have a good section in 13.9's release post that gets used as a piece of content. And I do agree that was actually there, at least in part, because of that messaging importance. And it's something that as PMMs continue writing those every month, they will at least consider, do we have enough to batch as a special section? And then we work with social and with evangelism to find those folks out in the wild and to tag them and say thanks very much. In addition to mentioning them specifically in the release post. And that was a really good success. It was actually a part of why that release post did really well in terms of its traffic compared to other recent release posts. Anyway.
Thanks, Brian. I've added a to-do to sync up with you on potentially an OKR for next quarter where we could maybe leverage these more in the initial adoption journey. So thanks for pointing that out. It's really exciting. Sid?
Yeah. I think marketing is all about storytelling, and I was reminded of that yesterday. One of the great things about being an adult is that no one puts a cap on your Lego budget. So I bought the Lego grand piano, and the first few pages of that manual, which is over 500 pages, are like the people who made it and why they made it. So it wasn't made by a Lego grandmaster. It was made by a pianist who really wanted to make a piano in Lego. And that person was helped by people from the Lego side to come to a final result. And it was pretty engaging. It could have been even more engaging, but the point is that it's important to tell that story, like the why. And I think already the wider community contribution highlight section is really cool, but I think we can go beyond that. And I'm trying to help Nuritsi make her point. So she should talk after me and say what she means, but we should probably do feature posts. We already know a few days ahead of the release what's getting released, and we can interview the people like, hey, why do you even care about this? And tell those stories. I think that would be really cool. Nuritsi?
Yeah, I really like that suggestion. I think that having more user stories is a really powerful way to, also spotlight their contributions. I think that GitHub does a great job of this, for example, and really helps to, promote individuals that are contributing a lot to open source. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. I don't have other specific ideas right now, but I will think about it because I just would love to brainstorm ways around how we can really leverage that aspect of our company so that we can, again, bring that into alignment with our strategy and just, differentiate ourselves further. So, yep. Thank you again, everybody. Appreciate the brainstorming.
Becky, do you want to verbalize your action that you took here, just since I see it's in the comments?
Oh, sure. So I just want to say, I was reviewing while I was going through all of these things after this, the next steps for what we need to do. And I saw a very old issue that was in our backlog for updating the contribution page. So I added that to our Q2 candidates, as well as Nuritzi. I know me and you have a meeting because we have the new brand messaging project, and we want to make sure that we tell the story of all the pillars that go into our brand. So definitely something that we need to think about and do better at going forward.
Yeah, and one other thing that I'd like to mention is that I've been talking to the user research team a bit more about how to bring the community in general more to the forefront. And it sounds like people aren't really understanding what community is in the like menu section, for example. And so I would challenge us to keep thinking about the specific terminology that we're using to drive more contributions and all of that. I know this is kind of getting away from the new user journey of signing up for trials, but again, I think that this is a really important thing to consider as we're just thinking about new users in general because of that differentiating factor. So I have a few issues going on. I'll look them up and put them in the notes.
Thank you. Sid, you're next. Let's go to number 3.
Yeah, I love that there's a video. I wonder when and where it was communicated, and we can do that even offline, but I want to make sure I don't miss it.
Yeah, so it's in what's happening at GitLab, and I think Sherry's flagged it for you as a future watch.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Welcome.
Looks like I have the next question. So looking at slide 4, it looks like usability test script is one of our top non-branded search terms, which is really cool. I was surprised to see that, been pleasantly surprised. Reading the table, it looks like we also might be paying for that keyword phrase. I just wanted to learn more about that. This is purely for my own knowledge and benefit.
I feel like I need to look at the slides, but I don't believe we're paying for that. I don't know if Matt or Dunk can weigh in there.
We're not paying for that.
Yeah, so that's organic, Christy. If you want to do something there, we'd love to partner with you. That probably could have an even better landing page and things like that. So
yeah, that's part of why I was asking is if it was organic traffic, then yeah, we've got a huge handbook full of lots of interesting UX stuff. So happy to partner with you on that anytime.
Amazing, thank you. It'd also be amazing to think about the new user journey for someone who's looking for that. Maybe they need something slightly different. They could be a designer rather than a developer. And so like, do we have an experience designed for them beyond that initial education? Michael, you're next.
Hey team. Yeah, I just wanted, really like all the data in the deck and just wanted to get some clarity so I can process it better. Are we saying that like everything is traffic? It's like an individual page view, like even the referrals. I see a comment there, Becky. Are we saying that our #1 target is like just we're doing like a spray and pray, like let's just get more people and hope they convert? Would love to just hear more about as it relates to our recommendations, quantity versus quality.
Sure.
Yeah, so Becky, do you mind if I start?
Go ahead, Danielle, go ahead.
So I think the important thing to frame here is that this deck was created not to say what we should do, but more to like map out what's happening. So it was more of a descriptive process of saying, what is the journey that people go on? We definitely have OKRs around conversion. I think, Michael, they are your OKRs. But I think the important thing is these people, this volume of people who come to our site who don't convert, it's like, well, who are they and what are they doing? They didn't just like, I'm sorry, but people don't cruise B2B SaaS websites for fun. Like usually they have a reason that they want to come to our website. And so I think the volume still really matters because it shows us that there's some intent that we're probably not capturing today. And in our perfect dream marketing world, everybody would get to where they were supposed to go. Now that is a big ask and we're probably pretty far from that. But I think it's still very important for us to understand that there are literally millions of people every month and only a subset of them, get where we want them to go in terms of trials. So conversion rates are very important because they're what's going to drive our business value. But I think we also need to try to keep in mind like, wow, that's a lot of humans and a lot of energy. Like how can we point that towards something of value for them and not lose sight of that? Because it is tempting to make this all numbers. But we're right there at the top of the funnel. So I just want to emphasize, like, I know sometimes it can feel like, oh, volume is less important than quality, but it just has a different meaning is kind of how I try to think about it. Know what you want to add there, Becky?
No, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to add that I did put at the end of the deck, I put how we iterate on this journey, and I added the things that you're working on, Michael, that are more specific towards the quality versus just GA data that we have. I wanted to put this together with just data and just making assumptions off of that, because I wanted to see what interesting things came up. Like the fact that people go from enterprise to small business, I thought was super interesting as one of the top pages. So I just wanted to kind of pull just volume of what people are doing on their own based on what we're offering.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Thanks for sharing. I think like I view it as like leakage. We're leaking opportunity where we can get percentage increase, where if we focus on conversion in terms of like, what are we completely missing? That's when we get into like the 4X and 8X opportunity world, but one is a lot quicker fixing leakage. So thanks for that.
Haley, I think you have the next question.
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was just pausing to give everyone a chance. Thank you for the insight so far. As a SDR manager, this is super helpful for me to better understand the journey of our prospects and leads and those millions of people, as you said, Danielle. So my question, part of this is me trying to better understand the different teams and their responsibility. Because how is the inbound marketing, what you're doing, related to and engaged with in product marketing? Because I saw a lot of discussion in the slides around improving the journey to free trial. And there is also the ability in product, the in-product request for the free trial. So I wasn't sure if you were involved in that journey, if it was separate teams, and how you align. So that was my question, sort of. Raw.
Yeah, great question. And I love that you feel like this is giving you insight for the SDR team. I should point out, so the product trial sign up is fairly new, and it was created by the product growth team. So that's the team that Hila leads. And we didn't really do much there. We were just like recipients of that lovely gift because it helps us get even more trials. So thank you to Hila. I don't know if she's on this call. And we do talk to that team regularly and try to figure out ways we can collaborate. As far as with product marketing, the truth is we haven't had as much interaction with product marketing, and I think we're really turning over a new leaf there in terms of how we work together. With William Chia now leading that team, we have a pretty close relationship, but I think that's going to come down to the journey map and the messaging. So I think that what product marketing can do is they can inform us about what the market is saying in terms of like what words, what phrases, what order of information tends to resonate the most, and they tend to have the most insight into that. So I'm looking forward to a closer partnership, but just it honestly hasn't been that until recently. And we're also hiring for a VP of product marketing, and I'm really looking forward to that, the vision that person will bring as far as how we can align. So I'd say it's an area for improvement, but feeling very optimistic about it with William now leading the team.
Thank you. That's really helpful. So can I just summarize, and maybe this is correct, in the future, you'd like to be more involved with the product marketing where they can provide the insight, then you can build out the right customer or the right prospect journey that aligns with that.
Absolutely. So
Cool.
our insight is mostly before. So we have, data and information about kind of the intent coming in. What they know is what actually worked. So once someone's already adopted the product, like what are the first 5 things that they do? And so we can take that and help that hone the journey. So make sure. Okay, Michael, I think you should go ahead.
Great, yeah, I thought we could take advantage of Shane's historical knowledge here since he's on the call. I was curious, just to call out, we might be overvaluing the homepage because we are viewing it as traffic. That's a single page type that's obviously going to aggregate a really nice, clean, easy, big data set. Whereas when I look at slide 10, something that pops out to me is like the topics page. We're looking at one specific topic article when we might get more interesting information by viewing that as like a page type, because that's a user or a potential customer signaling they want that kind of topic rather than that very specific kind of topic. So have we done a slice of that data to inform our assumptions?
So I don't believe we have this for topics pages yet, just because they are new, but we do have page groupings. So we have groupings like product, all of blog, all of docs. So we do have some ways to slice and dice that data historically. And I think it's a great ask of like, do we have the topics page grouped and can we set that grouping? But even if we haven't pre-built the groups, there's also the ability to aggregate that data in GA. So we don't lose anything historically, we can go back in time, but I don't think that's been done on topics to date. So it's a great ask. Shane, do you have
And I don't
anything
think
else
it's
you wanna
been
add?
done. It wasn't done in this deck, right? Like my read on the data is like, we're looking at it's got to be a single page to rank in our assumptions that lead to our recommendations.
So I think this deck, just to give some context of why was this the GC topic, is in CMO staff right now. We're working on mapping out the entire prospect journey all the way through. And so this team's mapping our piece. We probably could iterate on this deck a couple more times before the CMO staff offsite. Michael, you might even be the right next iterator now that Becky's kind of created the initial deck. This should be a living thing that becomes part of our inbound playbook. This doesn't have to be something static. So I love that idea.
Yeah, and Danielle, to build on that, I think one of the things we can do in Google Analytics is there's a view where you can go in and look at specific subfolders. So you can say, okay, so look at topics and then break topics into those subfolders of GitOps or, continuous integration. And then you get all the aggregated page views and, entrance data for all the folders in that subfolder. So that might be a way to slice what Mike was looking for too. With what we already
That's
have.
really cool, Shane. That would help us know where to write content, what content's resonating with, that'll inform everything. That'd even inform the nav work we're doing. So that'd be amazing.
Okay, yeah. Let me document that.
Awesome.
Michael,
I've got the next one too. I've got a little bit of a run, but I love this stuff. So Christy Leneville and Adam Smolinski's research team, I saw a video was shared with me of a prospect starting on the marketing site going in. It's in Dovetail. I was just curious if anyone had seen that. That's the qualitative side of the coin that I'm hoping we're going to integrate, because if we don't, not to be cliche, we're just going to make a faster horse. Let's make something completely new. Just curious if that had been seen.
I hadn't seen it. Becky, had you seen it?
No, I hadn't seen it. And I would love to have that in there, Michael, if you can find the link to it.
Yeah,
I
I've
think
got
that's
it.
definitely one of the things in the end of the deck where it's continue UX research and put that in there for the next iteration of how we think about a user journey.
I'll get it.
Okay, well, I'll take the opportunity to offer a call to action to this group and anyone else. Please spread the word. Inbound marketing really wants your contributions, and there's ways you can contribute without having to, make the actual changes. We just need your ideas. This was an incredible brainstorm. So we are entering Q2 planning now. We run OKR process, probably pretty similar to the rest of the company, and we would love to have your input around OKR candidates or ideas that you have. So, if you got more excited about the top of the funnel based on this call, you can reach out to anybody. You can just post in the inbound marketing Slack and we'll get you to the right place as far as issue templates or even just interviewing you to capture your ideas. But there's a lot more that we can do here. We have been for the past quarter or so, I think, really shoring up some technical debt that it is enabling so that we can do more. And so we're coming out of that and really much more empowered to do big things, but we need your brain power. So please share with us things you think we could do better. And if you see opportunities to collaborate, we might not be seeing them yet because the company's gotten a lot bigger and we can't have coffee chats with everyone, but that doesn't mean we don't love you. So please reach out. Anybody else have questions? I think then we will probably go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you, everyone. It was great to